All right, what we're going to be doing this semester, because I think we have larger classes and it's easier to get a feel rather than looking out into your blank faces and trying to read from your face what's going on. We'll have these polls that go through class so that I'll know a little bit of where you stand. So the first is just about WebAssign. I want to know where you stood on the WebAssign. So all you do is you text to that text to this number. And then you just place the A, B, C, or D, or E based on the answer over here. No, you can just put like from there. Okay, so what? Okay, so just go back again, and then right, and then you put in. Did everybody get a chance to put in their answer? So you can be completely honest because anonymous, and then you can also see where the rest of the class stands. Nobody's marking E. There's a few more of you adding in. So while that's adding in, we see the biggest bump at C. Can you articulate to me what you think was you were having trouble with some of the WebAssign? Did you get it after a few times or within the allotted time, but it was just a little bit frustrating? What was the frustration? Was it the math or was it the entering? How you would enter it?
For me, it was the entering, because I would have the answer, but if it's not the exact way that the website wanted it, it would mark it wrong. So, like, there was one that I had like the numbers, and it was simply because it was like, I think I put like 26 because it was 26.1, and it marked it wrong.
I have an idea. We could do make a group as a text, and what was happening was people were taking screenshots and then taking a picture. One person in our combined classes actually took a video, so I could see her putting in exactly what that was really cool because I can actually see what was going on. But I don't have on my end. I'm not entering something. You see how it shows up on my end, it has the answer sitting there. So I don't enter, so I don't know exactly what format they wanted to enter it. I only see their final answer. So maybe if we have like a group thing, like I don't even know how to set that up. But I know that WhatsApp you can do that.
Write the answers down and give them to you.
What again?
Write the answers down.
That's not gonna work. I have 70 of you. There's no way. I mean, years ago when we first introduced WebAssign, I gave that option. I had a seizure. I ended up in the hospital. Yeah, I'm not kidding. So it's just not going to be possible because I just direct too many things. So it has to be done online. So what I've done in the past, and she can confirm this, is that I've not made it for grade. So I signed the WebAssign and then not made it for grade. The problem is we're aligned with the other Calc A classes, and everybody's doing WebAssign. So I have to do it too and have it as part of my grade, or else we're going to be off of what they're doing. So I'm trying to make it so that if it is an entering issue, what you could do is send a screenshot to the group, and someone else in the group will say, oh, I've tried that, here's what you're supposed to type in. And that will be resolved just like that. For me, it's super easy to text back. How many of you texted me this weekend? How fast did I reply? I'm an addict myself. Why do you think I tell you don't bring your cell phone even out there? I know what that's about. So I'm an addict. Don't ever ask me, are you in a meeting? Are you supposed to be doing something else? Probably am. So just, I think that would resolve it. How can we do that? How can we add ourselves to one group as a tech? My students do it for me, usually. I know, but that's a pain. You need to go to a computer, but texting's so much easier.
I don't know.
Well, what I've usually done is I pass around my phone and somebody makes a group and then everybody adds their number to the group and if they just call it, can you guys do that for me? I've done this with a smaller group before, it's worked out. So then I don't have to do any thinking on my end. Let's see. I might have to go back to my office to get that. So before the class is out, let me go get my phone and we'll pass my phone around. Everybody add their number onto a group. Who's good at making the group? I got a Microsoft phone. I don't have an iPhone. I had to be different and get the Microsoft phone. Well, then somebody has to enter all. That would be me. That's limited time. So it's easier for you to add your number into the group, right? So I'll get the phone and then.
Could we use like you said WhatsApp? Could we use like GroupMe? Yeah, if you do like a group text message, whenever someone gets it, it's just gonna be like calling that person's phone, you know, like, you know what I mean? Because then if GroupMe, if you don't have like a question, then you can mute it and you won't get notifications and you can just look at it if you need to. That makes sense.
Right, but somebody has to get the question too. But the issue is that I'm not typing in stuff into WebAssign. So when someone asks me how, you know, what's wrong with it, who is that? Somebody was asking me this over the weekend, and I'm like, well, did you try this? Yes, I tried that. Did you try this? I don't know just as much as they don't know because I have no way of typing into it myself. So the students themselves would know the answer to that. So you need to be able to see the messages.
Oh yeah, you can because you have the option through like that app to mute it if you don't want to.
You still can
If
see
you're
the
having,
messages, but you don't get the notifications, so it doesn't matter unless you.
Yeah.
So do I have to download an app?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I give you my phone, you'll do that for me? Download the app and, okay. Now here's a bigger question. Does Microsoft have it? That's a different question.
It does. It does.
So that will fix any more problems. So here's what you're going to learn about my class. I switched the class around based on student feedback. So you just gave me feedback. It's frustrating to type it in. How can we make it so that you get it under 5, get the correct format? That'll solve it. So I think that'll solve. We'll see how that goes and see if that improves it. The other thing that I saw or heard is some of you wanted videos for some of the problems that you weren't comfortable with. And I'll get to that next because right over here. The questions I got along those lines were asked late. By that time, if you got a response from me, it's by text. The closer it gets to time for the class, it's just that I physically can't do it. So it's that's why I'm not answering. So if you ask me too close to the time, I'm not going to be able to resolve it. So I put a homework policy up on the syllabus. The syllabus is posted on Canvas. It's up to you to start your homework on WebAssign in a timely manner. To mitigate that, it could happen. I do it too. I sent out a grant last semester. I did it in the last minute. I tacked everything on. I look at it now and I think, I don't know who wrote this. I got an F on that thing. I deserve the F, probably. I look at it now after the first day I was mad. The second and third day I was like, oh, maybe they had a point. And now I look at it and think, how did they ever read this thing? It was so horrible because I did it at the last minute. That's my burden to bear. I just shared it with you. When you're doing something in the last minute, that's your burden to bear. I do make enough messes myself. I don't need to add your messes to it. So up till about, I think I was pretty responsive by texting till about 10 o'clock last night. So it's not unreasonable. But before that time, I'm able to answer by email, where I can screenshot things and give you things. Let's just leave them. Give the next class I'm going to talk about. So I can't guarantee I'm available. Remember, when things go wrong, you're scrambling at the last minute. That's a gamble you're taking. You assume the risk that goes with it. Technical problems such as poor internet connection or WebAssign refusing to take your answers, that's not going to shift the due date. Right? It's just like a professor sending out a grant and asking for a letter of recommendation the day before it's due. They might not get it, right? If they're getting paperwork done the day before something is due, they might not be able to get it. They get really mad, just like you do. They get really mad and say, why is that person not in their office today? Why are they out sick? That will happen if you wait till the last minute. You don't say anything to them at that moment because they don't want to hear that. So I'm telling you in advance, this is the policy I have at homework. Until that time, I'm very responsive. I don't think you'll find someone on campus that's more responsive because I like students. I like hanging with students. Next quiz. I start rolling the quizzes, so somebody had mentioned that they felt a little uncomfortable because they didn't feel totally comfortable with the material. Yes, they were able to answer the questions. And I told them, look, the way it works in here is you get to see it over and over and over again. So by the time the test rolls around, there's very little studying to be done for the test. That true? You start to see things over and over. So it kind of gets ingrained in your head. So what the next quiz is going to have those inverse problems from the first WebAssign. I'll make tutorials for them as well because I was asked to do so. I just couldn't do it at the last minute in that way. So to make a video, I need a few days ahead of time to make that video. But I can post that on YouTube on our playlist because you asked. So the sooner you start it, the more I'm able to do that kind of help, which is even better than just texting someone and, have you tried this? The log laws, I'm going to post the log laws. I'll probably do that on a tutorial. It's just like the laws of exponents. So the law of exponents and log laws will start showing up on every quiz and test. By the time you get out of here, you will know that. One question off the E-class assignment. I'll kind of give you more of an idea what that would be. So we're summarizing and putting something together. Those are the really important things in my perception. That's what we're really doing is applying it to something. And I'll take one more new problem off the new WebAssign that's assigned. It's already online. So I prep way in advance so things are online already. Okay, any questions? Oh, this is very small, so I'm going to have to read it to you. So someone in here said they worked for a pediatrician. Who was that? Is that you? So this is the Italian pediatrician. What I noticed about my cohorts in Europe is that they are very, very thorough. They might not see as many patients per day as the pediatricians in the States. So I don't know. Sometimes he doesn't answer me for a couple of days. In fact, he told me the reason I didn't answer you was I was on 48 hours of call, so I just didn't have time. So maybe he's just more diligent. So he said that he uses growth charts every day. The first thing they do in the clinic is they approach a patient, they measure the length, weight, head circumference below 2 years of age, and then weight and height up to 5 to 6 years of age. After that, they also do waist circumference. We use waist circumference all the time. In the clinic that we have, we teach the kids how to really get a good waist circumference measurement. It's not easy to do. We use the CDC standardized protocol for those waist circumference measurements. Waist circumference is closely correlated with so many comorbidities, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular health. And so that's why we get them in the clinic, is for that reason. So if the kid's below the 25 percentile, I think that's what CLE says, we go very carefully and follow up checking nutrition assessment. Nutrition assessment is what I work on because nutrition assessment is not objective. It's like asking every one of you, did you study hard? It's not an objective question. It's like asking people my age, do you have a good marriage? It's not an objective question. And so I kind of want to ask him about that, how he does that, because you can't really ask them. Blood panel checking, they check for other parameters which you had mentioned, like the thyroid, abdominal ultrasound, looking at liver and kidneys, and looking at bone age. I don't recall us doing that here in the States, so that must be what they do in Italy. They're very thorough. If the kid is in the 85th, so they're up on the upper end, again, they do nutritional assessment, abdominal ultrasound, thyroid ultrasound, which you had mentioned earlier, and in general blood panel. We call it the lipid panel. So you look for fatty acids and cholesterol. So if the kid is in the over the 85th percentile, they also look at a little bit more liver in the ultrasound and specific blood panels like insulin, insulin growth factor, and the HOMA index, which are all measures of diabetes levels. I'm surprised I don't know the H1C1. Okay, of course, follow-up is longer and more intense, so then they also increase the frequency of visits. So that's what they use for this. Have a nice Sunday. I don't think he knew what was going on here. I heard Italy's beautiful, so that's what they use it for. So I do want to do this in-class assignment, but I want to reserve it to Wednesday because I got the feeling that more of you would like to get the WebAssign portion, the methods portion down, so that you have more time to think about it. So I'm going to move to the WebAssign portion. But I do want to tell you that where we're moving to is how to find how fast the growth is at different parts of that curve. Like you looked at that curve already and told me at puberty we see a steepness. So they're growing faster there. And between ages 2 to 8 or so, they're growing pretty fast there. So those are the 2 fastest growth spurts, for example, for a child. And we can see them on those growth curves. You're actually going to calculate how fast. So if you had to tell someone, patient that comes in, you should expect to see this much growth per year in your child. You're gonna actually calculate that by looking up the growth charts on Wednesday. But the take-home point is that it changes based on where you're looking. So if you're looking at age 8, you should get something different than looking at age 2 or looking at age 13 or looking at age 18. What do you think you should expect after age 18? Recall those growth curves? At least a height, should hardly any change, right? Unfortunately, weight, we do see changes.